Hey, man.
Where'd you get your glasses from? Probably the
I
same place as me.
I was thinking I liked I like your glasses. I think it's Warby Parker probably on Abbot Kinney.
Yours are a lot more expensive than mine. Yeah, I genuinely need glasses. Like to look at the scenery out here, I need them on.
Um,
I'm blind as a bat. It kind of goes for me and against me when I'm DJing at a festival
right.
because I don't get stage fright. That's probably because I can't see past the first 10 rows. So it's
Oh,
so
that's
it
the.
kind of works out for the best.
So you right because you don't. I've never seen you play with them, but that never
Nah,
occurred to me. So
gets
you
a
can't
gets a bit.
you can't recognize your friends out there.
They're usually backstage. I'm not that bad of a friend.
Right.
I mean, if they're a close friend, they're going to be backstage.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, no, I need glasses. I mean, I'm supposed to drive with them. Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's a slight fashion statement, but slightly it's genuine. So, yeah, so don't.
Uh oh, we got a little bit of a cutout. Uh oh. The internet just died. 1 second, guys. Uh oh. Let me
But
Yeah, our internet just went out for a second. Give me 1 second. Oh, be right back.
no rush, man.
How's that? Okay. Of course, January 1st, internet goes down. It went out last night during our stream, but I think that's better now. First off,
You did a
Happy New.
stream. Thank you, man. So you did a stream last night, a live stream.
We just a really chill one last second. My buddy Gigamesh lives down the street, and so he came over. He's sort of in our bubble. It was just like us, my roommate, and we played a couple records and had dinner, and that was it. We stayed up till 3:30, drinking and terrible prosecco and playing records.
What's oh, I just dropped my phone. Let's kick. I've got a question for you.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm a control freak. I'm being the interviewer right now. Um, what's your thoughts on live streams? So the obviously quarantine kicked in. Um, what's your thoughts about from start to now?
Are
Because
you? Yeah. You've done
because
some DJ stream. You're talking about DJ performances mostly.
very early on, yeah, I got out the green screen, spent about $40 on it.
Mm-hmm.
Just covered everything up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I just want to know your thoughts on it. Then I'll let you know mine afterwards.
It looked good. So I've seen yours. I think you uploaded some of them
I
to
mean,
YouTube.
don't worry about mine,
Yeah,
but
no. So
as a whole,
I think that the streams, played a really important role this year. The production level was really key to the success of a lot of them. There's also the community side, like a lot of people talk on the mic and stuff. But a couple friends of mine, like Treasure Fingers, he's an incredible graphics person. So he like designed a plane, and he was like
yeah,
in the plane flying around. And so I
yeah,
think
I saw it.
I think
It's good.
yeah. So there were a couple streams out there that were like really top notch. Um, I think now in January, if you're not operating at that level, at a pretty high level, it can be tough to keep maybe your audience engaged. And so like it wasn't like a super high priority for me. I've been doing like these chats, and um, I find that a little bit less stressful than the production and everything.
Yeah,
What'd you think?
I mean, my opinion is anyone who did live stream, all the best to you.
Mm-hmm.
You're not getting paid. Number
Mm-hmm.
one, you ain't getting paid. You're doing it because you want to. You're doing it for passion. I mean, a little bit's probably doing it to keep your name out, but who cares? You're providing something for free.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to all the people that are hating on it, go fuck yourselves. Because you're getting the shit for free, number one, unless you're watching on Tomorrowland
True.
or something like that. So yeah, just like crowd the hate, man.
I
On
didn't realize
YouTube,
it. Was there a
write
lot of
hateful
hate?
comments on there. It's just like I said, like there's a few like I've seen a few cheap shots that aimed at like some acts and it's like look, just have some empathy in the sense that like nobody is making money from touring right now, and for a huge percentage of touring DJs and touring musicians and touring acts
Right.
and touring tour managers and touring technicians and all this, no one's making money.
True.
So and but here's the thing: I'm going by like 2% of people. Um, on the whole, anyone did a live stream, anyone just trying to do something different, like you, all the best to you, all the best to you, all the best to
Absolutely.
you. But it's a strange old thing, and yeah, I mean, it obviously not going to compare to a live show. It's
No, it's
obviously not. it's obviously, come on, yeah, we get it. It's obviously not. You're not going to feel the bass kind of traveling through your chest, and all of that. You're not going to have that communal feeling in that community.
Right.
But like keep the community, like keep community strong. Keep it positive, not tell people what to do. But yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. But yeah, it's interesting. Some people got super creative. Um, and it was nice. I liked it because it just showed that people are still there to provide the music, and yeah, we know
Hmm.
it's not as good as the live event, but hey,
It,
all the best to people for trying.
it,
Yeah,
exactly. I think that I know on certain days I would tune in and see, see all my other whatever DJ friends, or a lot of them would be streaming, and that would be a pick me up for me before going into my own stream or whatever, like even the chats. And like you said, like only love for people that were, there's a tough year for the entire world, and people that are trying to bring something positive. It was a big thing. Let's talk about, yeah, I guess since we just finished it, what did you learn? What did you do with your year? What did you learn about yourself in 2020?
I learned absolutely nothing. I learned to be a lot more stoic.
Uh-huh.
I learned I was already stoic coming into this year, and by stoic I mean just not worrying about anything you can't control. Just do what you do it to the best you can,
Mm-hmm.
and just don't worry about anything else, anything external. Be a good, be a decent person, do good to your family and your friends,
Mm-hmm.
work hard, and that's it. So I want to become a lot more stoic. Um, Not a lot. I probably should have spent more time studying more production type stuff because I'm certainly not fully formed. But I've
Interesting.
been spending my time just purely making music. Just like everybody else, we're probably sitting on tons of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's deliberating. Oh, do we release this when everything's back?
Yeah.
Oh, do I release a club record now? And everyone's going for the same. Everyone's going for the same. But yeah, the acts and people really struggling right now, financially. Like,
Right.
man, you got my empathy. It's not easy. And I just want to give a little bit of a warning
Mm-hmm.
to to all acts. When it starts up again, it's not over. It's not
Right.
over.
Right.
It's There's going to be everybody and their dog is going to be touring next year, or this year,
Or
or maybe next year, depending when
depending on
we
where
go
and
through.
what, right?
Everybody, yeah.
Have you been seeing? Because I know that there's in Asia, like there was an ultra or something, and that was a thing. Are you um, like have you done any shows, or do you have any like shows coming up in any places with?
I I haven't. I
Oh,
haven't. I've had the option to. I've had the option to go to Florida.
yeah, of course.
I, I've had the option to do the drive-ins,
Yeah.
and again, each to their own. I have friends of mine that went down to Florida, and if you choose to go to a venue, then you're an adult.
Mm.
That's your prerogative.
Mm.
Um, for me personally, the reason I didn't is I don't think the experience would have been as good if I just wait.
Yep.
And but a lot of people aren't in that position. A lot of people need to keep on making a living,
Pay the
and there's going to come a time when I'm going to start need to get out again. So
pay the rent.
I took yeah. I mean, I took the listening to my agent. I took the option of just work in the studio, just
Mm-hmm.
focus on that. But nothing against anyone certainly a driving, like like
Of
that's
course.
it, that should be safe. But Florida's Florida. I mean,
So,
it's like
yeah,
yeah,
no, I mean
each to their own.
it's a big old thing, and I think I agree with your point that like it's hard to judge some of these, like if it's within the rules or if there are less rules in certain places. It's a kind of been a battle of for survival, uh, and it may continue, or probably will continue to be for a little bit. But I want to talk about on a positive note. First off, congratulations on the picture you post on Instagram. uh, you're about to
Yeah,
become.
I'm notoriously private when it comes to social media. Um, because Duke Dumont and Adam Diamond is two different things.
Mm,
It's the only common theme is the music I make. I only make music if I like it.
yeah,
I mean, that's the only thing. Is so musical taste is the same. But other than that,
yeah,
I learned very, very, very early on not to let professional ego cross over into personal life.
right,
Um, you if you do that, it's game over.
right.
I've seen it happen to a lot of acts, and trying to reach those serotonin levels. That is it serotonin or
I think
adrenaline?
so.
I don't know.
I think so.
Whatever those, that surge you get, DJing in front of 10,000, 20,000.
Yeah,
That energy, it's not, you can't really match that many aspects of life. So yeah, that was a very, very brief kind of view into like my private life.
For
But
the
no,
for those that
I,
didn't see the post, we're referring to it's called
oh
a
yeah.
sonogram, right? And people were like,
I,
"What the
I'm
hell are these
assuming
guys
that
talking about?"
I'm assuming that everyone reads my Instagram.
Yeah,
When
yeah,
I don't even have that much followers, so it's
yeah.
like no one does. Um, yeah, so yeah, my partner's pregnant. Yeah, we've been together about 4 years, 3 or 4 years now. That is on the cards, and then yeah, hey, quarantine. I
Yeah.
wonder how many. There's gonna be a lot of babies born on, isn't there, like this year?
We've got a few friends. It's hey, any bit of positivity in these times. But also, yeah, besides the personal life and the new impending edition, also congratulations, although it's a bit more belated, on the full length on Duality, which I know that you've been
Okay.
working on for a long time. Had been.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. The album literally came out. Was it a week or two before it really started locking down?
Mm.
Um, Initially, I mean, the reason I made the album was to tour it.
Mm-hmm.
Was to tour it. Um, there's a little bit of a progression in the album. So dancey at the start, gets a bit mellow, then gets a little bit more progressive at the end,
Mm-hmm.
in a similar way to I put on the show. Um, and yeah, just put on ice, just put on ice.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's going through it, but yeah, there's a reason to debut it at the Shrine. I'm pointing over there. I don't know why.
Right.
I mean, it is kind of in that direction somewhere. Um, but yeah, not making that direction. Um, so yeah, I mean, the other thing as well, I've it just felt like the right time to be working on an album. I kind of wanted to show. It's a catch-22 an album first. I'm not sure like the listeners realize this, what most acts have to go through, especially electronic acts.
Hmm.
But mm, especially electronic acts that love doing what they do, they probably want to do an album.
Mm-hmm.
The business side do not do an album.
Hmm.
Release singles,
Mm-hmm.
release single.
Mm-hmm.
The way the system is built with
Mhm.
streaming and Spotify and iTunes and just the whole system, really, nothing against Spotify. The system's built to release singles, and record labels know that, or
A-
major labels know that.
And you've done that quite well. I mean,
And
you've
I
kind of
just,
done both, but you've.
and I just completely ignored it
So-
because I'm in a position now where I'm very fortunate to kind of really do what I want and
Mhm.
really do what I like. And to me, the box I never ticked was making an album I was happy with.
Mhm.
I mean, I made albums years ago.
Mhm.
I made, I was like before I had chart success in the UK, I was making such a wide range of music.
Okay.
Like, I mean, I was even like, rest in peace, MF Doom.
Mhm.
I have demos I was given to MF Doom back in 2006 on Dex Records.
You were
You know?
giving MF Doom demos?
Yeah, I'll play it to you one day.
Oh, please, yeah.
It's like it's very like basically I found like these old. It's also like completely sampled. I
Yeah.
found like this
Need to hear this.
Japanese like it's weird. It's like some Japanese soundtrack stroke funk compilation, and I just completely rinsed it, and it was perfectly like up his street. And man, it's like, yeah, just it just didn't. I don't think it connected. Maybe
Sure.
I was asked by the label he was releasing on at the time to send over demos. So there's this whole part. There's this whole history before Duke Dumont.
Right.
I've been doing this for a very, very long time. Barely paying the bills back then, but why am I talking about that?
Where did you start
I
off?
don't even know what I'm talking about.
No, it's all good. This is
Making
how
me
it
making
goes.
rappies.
I'm really happy to find out that you sent MF doing beats. I remember the first time I heard him, and I was like, this guy is from another planet. It was I didn't know that rappers could have that sort of artistry and presence. But yeah, I think you started DJing quite early, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's for me, making music and DJing was always neither really came first. I
Mm.
always did both. Um, I bought like Belt Lab turntables when I was about 17. I
Mhm.
worked like the entire summer to buy these Belt Lab Sound Lab turntables, and yeah, I still got all my old UK garage records.
Mhm.
That's what I kind of used to play. But at the same time, I had a PlayStation with Music 2000. I had a bunch of crack software, and it's just passion. It was just because I loved it. There's a magic to the music that inspired me, and I just wanted to have an understanding of how that worked,
Right.
and just slowly and slowly and slowly and slowly. And to a degree, it's being ignorant is sometimes a little bit more magical. But
Mhm.
I remember, like 2004, 2006, listening to maybe not 2006, 2008. I
Mhm.
think Flying Lotus released Los Angeles, and I was just like, wow,
Mhm.
how'd you do that?
Mhm.
Mr. Wazzo, I remember hearing a Mr. Wazzo remix of a French DJ called Arc. I was like,
Okay.
wow, how the hell did he do that with the MS-20 and the Korg MS-20 and all that?
Mm.
Um, and then when you start finding out how it's done, it kind of loses its mystery a little bit.
Sure.
But that's when you should be making your best stuff.
Sure.
Like that's when is your time to really, when you have an understanding of how to develop a sound palette and a sound, then that's the time you should really be working. But yeah, it just all came from passion. I don't come from money. I can afford. I'm still very inbox. I
Right.
still like huge. I mean, I have analog stuff, but
Yep.
completely inbox. And that just came because I couldn't afford Sims.
So
And
right.
the technology's gone like like I've always said this before. The best thing about music now is if you have access to a computer, you can make music if that's what you want to do.
Mhm.
So anybody can make music. The bad thing about music now is anybody can make music.
Sure.
So but I'm more for the former. Like, if you want to do something in life, then I just, and it's a burning passion inside you. I don't think that you know that should ever be taken away from anyone. Um, so
Where did
yeah,
you start,
it's
like with the Duke Dumont project specifically? Like, when did you know that this was? You were like, oh, did you conceptualize the direction first, or did you have a batch of things that moved you away from things like maybe the hip hop stuff, and like what was like the first Duke Dumont record that you were like, oh, this is I know what I'm doing with this.
I mean, I still don't know what I'm doing.
Okay.
Um, but the first G Demont record was 2006. I did a remix for an artist called Mekon, and the remix was played by Tiga, Justice, Wazo,
Hmm.
um,
Not bad.
and that kind of LL Can, mainly the kind of like Parisian and like UK kind of acts. And it was just one route. Luckily, the guy that commissioned me to do a remix, a guy called Alvin Collins, he just saw my MySpace and just, hey, do you want to do a remix? Sure. And from that, Tika was into the record. I did this. Sounds really bad now. Please don't listen to it. And Tika was like, "You got any music? Give me a shot." Made some music and started the for club play only stuff on Turbo,
Right.
and yeah, it was just spiraled from there, just purely from MySpace. Yeah.
That's incredible. But yeah, it's quite incredible. So what do you remember? What was on your MySpace page? Like the music, was it stuff that ended up getting released?
Remember the picture? I remember ripping off Kavinsky because Kavinsky, man, Kavinsky's branding was on point.
Yeah, of course.
Like back then, like people won't realize back then, like he fucking nailed MySpace. Like him, a lot of French guys did actually. Like obviously Justice like nailed it as well. Yeah, I kind of like it's weird. I was gonna keep it like kind of masked and like unknown,
Okay.
and so I don't know, something happened where I was just like, oh no, I didn't keep the pretense going. But
Right.
yeah, it was like a whole character. It was like a whole thing,
Hmm.
completely inspired by like what Kavinsky was doing. Um,
So you link up with
but
Turbo and Tiga. Sorry to
yeah,
interrupt you. And that is that like the Giver and not Runway,
even
but
even before them.
before Giver.
So from about 2007 to I don't know, about 20 for about 5 years, 6 years, I was releasing through Turbo. Yeah, the records you mentioned, the Giver and stuff, but there's a very, very long time between releases. And now it's just I don't know, just I put too much pressure on myself.
Hmm.
Um, it was like Quincy Jones calls it paralysis from analysis. And what had happened was there's such a long time between me releasing something like 2 years that I put so much pressure on myself that this next thing had to be so groundbreaking
Right.
that I just didn't finish anything
Right.
for about 2 or 3 years, and I couldn't pay the bills.
Right.
I couldn't pay the bills. I was making a little bit of money from remixes back then. Um, I remember El Khan commissioned me to do a remix for the Mystery Jets, a UK band, and that was like a third of my yearly salary.
Right.
And it wasn't that much. It really, wasn't,
Right.
but it was a lot at that time. And thanks Errol for getting me on board to do that. It was, yeah, it was tough. And it was weird. It's like I desperately needed to make a living, but I just couldn't release any music. I couldn't finish any music, and then I just like fuck it. So
You
it's
just like
like
this
what
will work.
you're never going to be. Well, that's the point. Like at the lowest point, as long as you got like a competent skill set, like there's that point that most people will go. Well, most acts and artists, electronic acts, will go through when you're purely so centered around the finished result that if you're the person doing it, then there's a lot of pressure on you, a
Mhm.
lot of pressure.
Mhm.
The reality is there's a lot worse people probably making a better living than you and
Where's
me
where's how?
and everybody.
You mean like
Um,
mean people?
no, no, I mean in technical ability,
Got it.
but there's a lot better people making a lot less than you or me,
Sure.
and just just get music out there, man. Just like I was getting too analytical and too bogged down in perceptions of what other DJs thought, and that's when I started having success. When I kind of reached it, I've never been 100% happy with anything I've ever done, ever. Like, don't strive for that. Strive for like 80% or
Whoa.
even 60,
Really?
60%.
Well, you must
Yeah,
have a very high, because you're 80%. I mean, come on, if that's what you're putting out, I gotta
I don't even hit 80%. Like I hit 80% about 1 in 10. Yeah.
of your releases. Okay, so
But,
what
yeah.
is your proudest, the record you're most proud of? Not the most successful record, but what's the just as from an art, technical, everything, songwriting, etc.
It's different eras. Like I, c- it's so weird. A lot of the stuff I can't even remember the process.
Hmm.
Like it's really weird. I remember the process. I remember the setting. Like a which bedroom was I making in, or which studio was I in? But that's when you're being productive. Is when it's like a sportsman. It's like it's muscle memory kicks in. Like is that it's what do they call it? Flow state.
Right.
So athletes have a flow state where they just switch off their conscious mind.
Hmm.
It's the same with music.
Hmm.
It's honestly the comparisons between being an athlete and a musician or a record producer or an artist is always very, very similar. We're just going to flow state. Just don't even think about it. And when you enter that flow state, that's when you tend to get a lot done. And I kind of found a pattern for me that tends to encourage that, and that is try to make 3, 4, 5 ideas a day, put them in a folder, do the same next day, do the same next day, do that 5 days a week, do it again next week, do it again next week. At the end of the month, just put the ones that sound good in another folder, finish them.
Hmm.
So you just constantly throwing paint at the canvas rather than procrastinating about that hi-hat. And I'm preaching this. I'm not the expert. I need to release more music.
Hmm.
But I also understand my worst enemy is myself, and it's the same for any artist. Your worst, like here's the beauty of what we do is the reality. Like most jobs in life, like like a sales job or something like that, someone has to lose out in order for you to benefit. But the reality with music and musicians is, if someone doesn't like your music, just don't listen to it. There's no real harm
Right.
by musicians called. So it's yes, it's a good it's a man, like it's a good feeling, like doing what you love doing and being able to pay the bills. I mean, if you're in that position, you can't ask for much more in life.
That's true.
You really can't. So
The
anyway,
first time you
talking
get
about
paid for a remix, or like the first time I got paid for a remix, it was like I couldn't, I was over the moon. But
was who was your first remix, and is it any
oh
good?
no, definitely wasn't any good. So the first one that I can remember that was anything, I'd entered a competition that was run by DFA Records, James Murphy's label, and it was for the Rapture. Um, I mean, you'd remember them, I imagine.
Yeah, of
But
course, yeah.
a legendary band, and I worked on this remix with a friend of mine, Cyclist, and we did like a disco number, and it ended up winning, which was kind of crazy. They judged it like on basically a stream, and I watched it from my day job, like my cubicle, and I was just so impressed to like make because there were a lot of heavy hitters in there. Like I think Cassian was in there in the finalists, and just making the final 10 was really cool. And then when they announced that we won, well, I kind of couldn't believe it, and I think that gave me a bit more confidence in that I could get better, and that I could, I knew I was still such a novice, but it a little bit of confidence getting those small wins. I think um, you could kind of need those. But yeah, totally lost my train of thought there. I think that going back to the flow state, that's an excellent point that I hadn't thought about before, comparing it to athletes, because there's a thing we were talking about, paralysis by analysis, where same thing, like they call it the yips in sports, where like
100%.
a player forgets how to throw the ball like to first base, and like or a pitcher can't throw anymore, missing free throws or whatever. You just your body knows, but you're, like you said, paralysis.
And I mean that occurs in sports that are not so physically enduring. So what you mentioned about like baseball and golf are like the biggest case of athletes having the, and
Right.
it's the same with music, where it's like with boxing or weightlifting, there's so much muscle memory.
Mm-hmm.
But this turned into a sport podcast. But anyway, the point being is just keep on finding self improvements. Just keep on finding out new things. I mean, the beauty now is it's so accessible to find out how to do things musically.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's no excuses really anymore, other than teaching yourself, which it wasn't really like that 10
Mm-hmm.
years ago, 15 years ago. It's a lot more trial and error. I mean, there's stuff now. There's like websites where you can buy like pre-made
Yeah.
like remakes of other people's songs with the master bus and the sim set, and some of them are really good, like really good, like really accurate. So it's like, and there's nothing wrong. It's like there's nothing wrong with making something easy. You know, my whole thing is that I want to. Everybody in life wants, like, why put extra burden on yourself? Try and do it as easy as possible. Um, but yeah, it's just super interesting how I was thinking this the other day actually, how technology and the way streaming services work has really changed electronic music.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we go back, you know, you're speaking about when you did your first remix. Um, I know you know, put stuff out through Kasuni, and you go back to, I call it more, it's like the party era of like, you know, everyone calls it blog house, but it's like those parties back then were like great. Like most of that music didn't really have any, like, it's borderline unmixable. There was no huge formulaic nature to it. And it was like,
Right.
just like you wanted a song to stand out from the other stuff and not
Sure.
blend in, because then that's gonna lift like that small club in Paris or London or room 2 in Fabric, or sorry, room 3 in Fabric, you know, that kind of stuff. Um, and now it's changed.
Right. There's
And
maybe
and it, and
more
it, and it,
formulas ruling,
yeah,
or the. So,
well, in a sense that, but it hasn't changed. It's always been the same. It's always been the same. Let's be honest. Like popular songs, pop songs.
hmm.
Come on now, like the formula hasn't changed since Bill Haley and the Comets.
Right.
Rock Around the Clock. I mean, Rock Around the Clock's probably, you know, that's like, it's a fucking, can I swear?
Yeah. You
It's a
do whatever
fucking,
you want.
no, I'm going to swear anyway. It's a fucking TikTok record. Like,
Yeah.
that set the blueprint, and records around it. Things haven't changed since the 1950s, musically, but on a popular level.
What were
There's things,
records?
sonically, yes,
Yeah.
but hooks and first chorus structures and
Arrangements.
no different. It stayed absolutely the same. Um, but the energy and the other aspects, you know, streaming does encourage things to success. Unfortunately, encourage things to get formulaic, and then pretend it's not formulaic.
Mm-hmm.
That if you want real success, it's given the pretense that it's not formulaic, but you're still using the same Max Mind handbook that everybody else is.
So
But
how do you like hold that when you're? I mean, it's a lot, you know, to think about. But when you're bouncing these, you know, 1, 2, 3, 8, 3, or you said 3 to 5 ideas in a day, and I've mentioned this before because it's some of the best advice I think anyone's given me, is because you just had a folder and you were like, you know, think
yeah,
30 seconds or, you know, 30 seconds a minute. Someone in the chat was asking if each idea was 3 minutes. But can you talk about that? Like, how long are these snippets that you're bouncing out to your iTunes?
I mean, it could be anything from 16 bars to 64 bars. It depends. It depends what's needed. So, for example, I made a record with Ryex called "Let Me Go." It's on the album. Go listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that was like that. There was no. That was like 4 minutes in like one session, because
Hmm.
you know, the envelopes and the sims, and there's a lot of formation, so that was different.
Mm-hmm.
Then a record like Ocean Drive, just start with the chorus and work backwards,
Mm-hmm.
um, and then strip it back. It's just the same thing over and over again. Um, yeah, it's could be anywhere from 8 bars to 64 bars. Depends what the record's, you know, is what's needed for the record,
Mm-hmm.
and just to, you know, and then, you know, just don't listen to it for, you know, a month or 2 months. But you know, the hard bit
Right.
is finishing.
But the thing you just said, I think, is quite uncommon in, especially, I mean, it's uncommon to me, and I think probably to some of the up and coming producers that are in the chat. So you're writing stuff, just to make sure I understand you correctly. You're writing, let's say 3 ideas on a Monday, 2 ideas on Tuesday, etc. You go on. So by Friday you've got 30 or whatever the math is, and then you just said you're not listening to it for a while. You said a month, and then you'll just keep on going, and then come back
Whenever,
later.
yeah, to just come back. And what I start to do, though, so with duality, I start bunching together what kind of work together. So, towards the end of the album, Let Me Go, Riots, together with How to Dress Well. To me, they were electronic records to play live, to create, great visual, a great atmosphere. For those two records work together. But man, I got like 10 things that sound like Need You 100%. I got about 30 Ocean Drives. But they just haven't had the time. I'm then probably not going to be as successful as Ocean Drive, but
Right.
it's this similar bass line,
Right.
similar Juno sounding chord.
Right.
Very, so it's just when it starts bunching up together, I have a bunch of slightly progressive stuff. Like to be honest with you, the stuff that's pushing my buttons at the moment, club music wise, there's probably two extremes. There's, still some of the tech house stuff, still pushing my buttons, but the more progressive, the more chord based stuff, RP sounding synth program stuff is what I'm into at the moment.
The stuff they call melodic techno, but some of us just call softcore trance.
Yes, yes and no. But I associate melodic techno with like Eastern Europe and Italy and Tale of Us. And then there's the other side where it's a bit more breaksy, like Tommy Farrow or Frankie Wah. And like what I did it with Therapy. Therapy's quite a breaksy record. So there's the most important thing is that it has a feeling. As long as music has a feeling, the whole point of doing what we do is to create some kind of emotional response to the listener. So whether that's on a 110 BPM disco record or if that's on a 130 BPM industrial techno record, you just strive to try and create emotion in people and yourselves. I mean, start with yourself. Be honest with yourself and just hope that other people have that emotional response. Like there's a song I made called Love Song, which was centered around the sample. Oh God, whatever. Lenny Williams. So I found the acapella and just built the chords around that. I had emotional response to me, and I just hoped that it had the same on anybody else.
Right.
The tough thing for me is like knowing that to be a successful artist, sometimes you need to do what people expect you to do, and I've always struggled with that a little bit.
What do people expect you to
I
do?
don't know.
It's not in your DMs. People are like, give us another red light, green light.
I don't really check my DMs. No, I mean red light, green light. That what I was happy with red light, green light in the sense that one, I like making records for people I like at the moment, and I me and Sean, we get on. We've known each other for years. But the label didn't want to back that. The label had no faith in it. I said, look, there's hooks in this record. There's a pop song. You might want to give it a push. And they just did a low scale release and ended up doing what, being, successfully streaming. So I was proud that it kind of went against the odds and did okay. But red light, green light, that was kind of me throwing my hat in the ring of like the tech house world. I was like, oh, I can do that, even though it strangely doesn't. I mean, the drums.
I don't think of that as a tech house record. That's super interesting to hear you say that.
It is and it isn't. It isn't. It isn't. You know, it's got that. It's got that kind of brass, synth
Yeah.
brass. It's got that kind of like energy slightly, but on the programming level, yeah, it's not like completely. You know, it does. It wouldn't fit in to the top 10 on Beatport.
It's
But
probably
yeah,
for the best in this case, I think, because it's just a big. I think the first time you played it for me, and you were like, "This is going to be the next single." I didn't think of it as a house record. It just sounded like a big record. It just sim like stripped down enough with Sean's hook, and it was just you were playing a lot more with space. I don't necessarily think of. I mean, anyways, it's not to genre pick because it's pretty boring. But it's cool that you managed to achieve. Like, did you conceptualize when you're writing these things? It sounds like you think about context as well as emotions. So are you saying like, okay, 4 a.m. Berlin, or literally driving down the PCH, etc. when you're writing?
I keep it very simple. I just do what I think sounds good, and try and take the job. I mean, the one I'm quite lucky in the sense that I tend to throw a few curveballs out. So it's like, what is the next record I release? What's it going to sound like? And I don't think most people know, but I don't know if that's a good or a bad idea. I do it because it makes me want to keep on making music.
Right.
It's what makes me enjoy doing what I do. But um, wanting to be the biggest in the game, that's probably not a good idea.
Hmm.
But that's my thing, man. Just like the only consistency I've had in the last 10, 20 years is music, is making music
Right.
and enjoying it. It's outlived relationships, it's outlived friendships, it's outlived houses I've lived, countries I've lived, and it's always been there. So, I'm indebted to it. And regardless of, success or lack of success, I will always do it. Maybe a different, kind of workload level, but yeah, I love doing what I do. But yes, it's interesting. I just need to wrap up a bunch of stuff. One or two interesting collaborations um, coming up. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting year. But like everybody is, when do you release the music?
Sure.
That's the issue.
You
Like,
mean
I
with
would,
like regard to things opening up? Is that what you're talking
yeah,
about? Yeah.
yeah, because like let's be honest, releasing a club record now, look, it's really really tough. There must be some fantastic club records released, but my head's been so out of the game
Mm-hmm.
on what works on the dance floor
Mm-hmm.
that so much stuff just is gone over my head.
Because you're thinking
So
what dance floor you haven't if you haven't seen a proper dance floor in whatever X
I just
months.
I just haven't listened. I haven't consumed dancehall music at all. I mean, I consume music. I consume music daily, but
What have you been listening to in the past month?
I say daily, like that's bullshit. I haven't listened to much lately, but just trying to think what's really caught my ear. It's been a couple of things actually. I'm friends with DJ Godfather. He sent me his album. I really like it. It reminds me of the electro kind of music that got me into like, borderline breakdancing records that got me into electronic music. Um,
What was his name? Sorry.
DJ Godfather.
Oh.
You heard of him? Brian? Yeah, he's a bit of a kind of cult legend. He lives in Detroit.
Of course.
He's a booker as well. He has his club in Detroit. He's kind of big in around the kind of be more
Mm-hmm.
kind of movement around that time. Um, yeah, I liked his album. That was interesting. Other than that, just more musical stuff, more melodic stuff. there's a band called Men I Trust.
Oh,
I think they're great.
love them.
Then it's just yeah, just from DJ Godfather making like the most aggressive kind of booty bass to Men I Trust. Yeah, it's just I mean it's the there's just so much good music out there now. It's like there's such a renaissance in quality of music. Um, it's so high. Um, but yeah, there's very eclectic mix of stuff I listen to.
Can you talk about your label, Blase Boys Club, and what? Ooh,
It's
need
the brand.
look it up.
Um, the worst businessman ever. I don't sell. I just make it for myself.
Right.
Um, Blase Boys Club is defunct.
Oh, is it?
It is and it isn't. Okay, so I'm gonna relaunch a label this year.
Okay.
But Blase Boys Club, as in the title Blase Boys Club, is defunct. Um, and it's a mix of things. It's two things. Number one, it's not a boys' club. Like it's not for boys only.
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on, I don't give a shit. Like
Mm-hmm.
you make good music, please send it over, and I'll do a good job of releasing it.
Mm-hmm.
The second one was doing a good job of releasing it was I wasn't the setup involved with Blase Boys Club wasn't a good setup. You know, the person that was supposed to be label managing it just stopped label managing it,
Okay.
and I was like, oh, that's like, it's not fair to the artist. So to the artist that we were releasing now, it's just like, look, you know, this wouldn't be fair on you. But now it's a different game. Now I can use the same setup that I have for my music.
Mm-hmm.
Things can go through major labels, things can go through independent distributors, whatever is the need of the artist, I can now establish that. So there's got to be a relaunch of sorts. So yeah, there's, you know, I'll put my stuff through there and just release music for my friends and just good music. So that's an exciting thing I'm looking forward to this year as well. Just doing it surely out of passion. It'd be nice to put on some small pies at some point, you know, like the do over, you know, in LA, great at that, and it's just such an eclectic range of music.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my favorite pies still were the headbanger pies back in the day, just the energy and just again being really eclectic. I think the one thing with the label is my goal is not to be so formulaic in the sound. But then again, there's been some great labels that have a formulaic sound to them. You know, there's no right and there's no wrong way. You just got to do it your way and you know, just push things hard.
Sonically, will the relaunch, you know, take a new direction at all? Like, I mean, it sounds like this year has got you thinking about dance music or club music slightly differently. I mean, who hasn't?
Sonically, I'm not thinking that far ahead.
Hmm.
The only thing at the moment is the things I have lined up. I'm doing. I want to do stuff for artists, for vocalists. Okay, and whether I take a I take a feature credit or not, the one thing that quite excites me is just to make all the music on the label. I don't have to be the artist, but as long as I'm the producer or have my fingerprint on the records at some point, you know, my inspiration for that is Factory Records, an old UK label based out of Manchester. Just one producer having fingerprint on all the music, and it should create, you know, the sound of the label. And that music might be, you know, 110 BPM, 100 BPM to 140. You know, it doesn't matter. So yeah, there's one or two things lined up, and just to put my stuff through, you know, just release my stuff through there, and still have access to, you know, or I'm still signed to to Universal Music, so have that side as well. So
You mentioned Manchester. Are you familiar with? I think Finn is from there. He's got
so
the artist Finn, Finn. Uh, he had a release on Defected that was pretty cool, like last year. But I saw them picking up some awards because I think their labels with like some up and coming acts like India Jordan and ANZ. Um, yeah, I just thought maybe it's kind of like a bit samply, quite fast, but it's definitely got that UK, because we've been talking about these like classic UK records, and it definitely captures that essence.
well, the thing with Factory Records, Factory, I mean, they start. I mean, is owned by a guy called Tony Wilson, and he he started Hacienda, um, and they were one of the first labels to really bring over the sound of what was happening in gay clubs and post disco music in America and put a UK spin on it.
Mm-hmm.
Acid house, the birth of acid house.
Mm-hmm.
And they were one of the first to do it, but they mixed that with, they had Happy Mondays, New Order, so a lot of guitar based music as well.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of kind of industrial dystopian sound and stuff, and they all just merged together. Ecstasy helps a little bit as well. The birth and rise of MDMA kind of had a part to play in the way that the music was listened to and perceived. But
Right.
yeah, just want to work with people I like and friends, and I just enjoy it. Just enjoy it. I don't want to talk about big schemes and big plans. Go and do it rather than talk about it. So yeah, I just want to go and do it.
I mean, it sounds like you've got, as usual, a lot of balls in the air, a lot of potential, different kinds of records and plans with the artist, with the relaunch of the label. I saw an alert or something for the Shrine. I don't know if that was just a rescheduled show. Maybe it's not announced, like that with your name on it, and a couple of other names.
Yeah, I'm not doing the Shrine. Quarantine. It's going to dictate whether it happens or not.
Yeah. It's for like summer or
co-
something.
Yeah, I can't remember when the rescheduled date was.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna happen. If things ever open up, it will happen.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest with you, that's just, I probably shouldn't say this, but that's the one show that I'm looking forward to the most.
Right.
Just playing all my music. It'll be a legit show.
Yeah.
It's not not a DJ set. Well, I need to think about the best way to play the music, whether I'm breaking down the stems, rebuilding stuff up, whether rebuilding it live or if it's programmed, all of that stuff. I mean, I need to get stuck into a little bit more, but I have the ability to play 90 minutes of my own music, and it be of a certain level. Luckily that's what the album brought. If I didn't do the last album, I wouldn't have had the confidence that I'd be able to do that. Or to do it well. So yeah, the album brought that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Shrine. There's Coachella whenever Coachella happens. Yeah, a bunch of stuff, but who knows, man? Who knows when it's gonna open back up? I just stop even guessing.
Right.
It's like that. I can't control it.
Well,
I'll take my vaccine and hope that things don't mutate and
Right.
all of that stuff. But we'll see.
I got excited because I saw also the Magician's name on that. Like.
Yeah,
as well.
Stevens did.
Yeah.
Stevens did warm up.
I've got a thing with him.
The Classic Boys are playing. I think they are. I'm not sure it's confirmed.
Right.
But yeah, I love the classics, guys. So what's the thing? Do you have something on Potion coming up with Stephen or?
Yeah, so the Magician's doing Magic Tape 100 at the end of the month, and so I've got a track on that, but it's going to be it's a big They've got some great art, and they're doing a vinyl release. I think they've already got the pre-order on the vinyl going. So myself, there's some other great artists, some friends that are on that record. He's got a new, of course, he's got a new record on that that's pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, I was just out of personal interest, I'm like looking forward to.
You know what? That Licky D remix he did still fucking bangs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, man, that's like
Rivers.
number one. It really reminds me of that time, and it's very hard to make a feel good dance record but not be cheesy. Really hard. I haven't done it often. I've kind of fallen to the side of cheesy a few times, but then I don't know, something like Ocean Drive kind of steered that back.
Right.
But that's that's such a good remix. I hope he got some points on that.
Right.
But I know how it feels to do a big remix and not reap the rewards.
Right.
So yeah, that's a really good record. I forgot about the record for a long time. Yeah. Anyway,
That was a special.
great record.
I have a theory that these these records are kind of pivotal moments in a scene, in a culture, whether it's Bloghouse, or whether that, to me, the I Follow Rivers is kind of 2012, 2013. Like Hype Machine was a big career starter and a great, before Spotify, and Hype Machine connected with SoundCloud. They both benefited off of each other, right? Because you would have whatever millions of plays on a track or something pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's interesting that there used to be this Swedish like members club. I'm not sure if you was on there. It's like it's really interesting. Is around that Blockhouse days, most of the music came from Blockhouse. Elaine A-Track will know about this because he was on there. There's this members only site where acts are just uploading their music. Diplo was on there,
Okay.
and it's like an Illuminati of Blockhouse. I'm not gonna tell you what it's called
Sure.
because it's quite explicit. But yeah, there's ask A-Track about it, even though it's exactly what I'm talking. But all that music that was uploaded to that was kind of being taken from the blogs. So it was a place where all the blogs, the moderators, and from the blog sites, and the musicians were all in one. But there's only like 100 people on there.
Right.
So it's really interesting. You had to like the Illuminati. You had to fucking get you had to get the call, and then you was in. But that was really interesting. A lot of the Blockhouse came from that.
Right.
It was like promoted on that, and then it just Samir, Debonair Samir's theme and all that, and it's just for free. And yeah, I'm not sure whatever happened to that Swedish website.
I mean, now it seems like there's just there's a proliferation of great music and up and coming producers. I imagine, like, how many, because of the label, you must have been or must still be receiving a lot of demos.
I received no demos.
No.
I received absolutely none because it's
You're about to then.
I mean, it was good. So, yeah, send it over. Just don't try to make records that I can make off of something that I can't. Like,
That's a good point.
Like, I don't want to hear stuff that sounds like me. If you making stuff that sounds like the Tigra, or you mentioned the DFA days, something just that's well crafted and just sounds good and has a party atmosphere to it, then that's all that matters. But no, I get very few demo submissions, but I'm not really asking. I know people that make good music, and I just hit them up. But yeah, I mean, it's this I'm not looking to I looked to start a label this year, but I'm not looking to push the button, just get it going, get the vibe going. People know what it's about, and once you put things out there, the laws of attraction bring people in. So treat it like that.
No, that sounds awesome. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time. We've already been at this almost an hour. I don't know if you've got time to. Speaking of demos, we usually listen to a couple of demos if there's time and give a bit of constructive feedback. But to conclude this interview section, mini speed round for you. No thoughts, just the first thing that comes to mind. LA or London?
Depends what for. Right now, LA. But then in 5 years, it'll probably change back to London.
Okay. Best.
I love both. I love both.
Clearly.
I love both.
Best city for food?
Again, it's like completely depends. South America for me, like Brazil for me, New York for fine dining. I like Tokyo. I love Tokyo. So yeah. Again, not one answer. There's three though.
Classics. This is going great so far. Several answers to each question.
What's a speed round ever?
Well, yeah. What's slowest? What's a record that you wish you made? Any era.
Rory Davis Jr. Gabriel.
Oh, nice.
That's a record.
And finally, if you hadn't ended up in music or hadn't up choosing music or it choosing you, what would you be doing, do you think?
I have no idea. No idea. I can't do anything else. I cannot do anything else. I was fired from my last job for making music in my cubicle.
What was the job?
I was making ringtones.
So you were making music, but you were making different music.
I wasn't making music. I was editing real audio on SoundForge and converting the formats of it. I wasn't making music, but the boss, and I'm sure this is completely illegal, was tracking my computer, what's going on. And I had a copy of Reason on my computer.
You had Reason on your work computer?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I had Reason on there, not on my computer, and I was just literally making stuff. I did a remix. I did my first remix on there, uploaded it to MySpace, all my headphones.
Yeah.
I also made half of that in a wardrobe in my house at the time. Yeah, he's tracking my computer. But the thing is, I was so good at my job that
Right.
I'll do my job. I'll do my work for that day by 11 a.m. But staying, I'm not like, oh, give me more work. It's like I'm making you a millionaire, and you pay me £12,000 a year.
Right.
I'll do my end, and then it's like, fuck that. I'm an idiot if I work even harder for the same amount of money.
Of course.
Give me share options, and I'll probably still be making ringtones. But nah, yeah, he fired me. So he made me redundant for that.
Right.
He couldn't fire me because I was doing my job. Anyway, yeah.
I mean, and now they're making your records ringtones, I bet. Ocean Drive's a ringtone?
Well, the irony was the company I used to work out of Ministry of Sound.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't work for them, but I was in the same office. Okay. So it was funny because I'd see Steve Angelo come in at 17, 18 years old. See all those guys and actually really weirdly get to know people before even make music. So yeah, it was based there. Yeah, sorry. The irony was Need You 100% was released on Ministry of Sound.
Right.
So I kind of knew who all the A&Rs were and all the people.
Right.
So it kind of went full circle. Yeah.
So did the Swedish House Mafia guys know you as the ringtone guy?
They didn't know. They didn't even know me back there. Just I've got to know Steve a little bit. I see him pass, through festivals and stuff. Always seems like a really nice guy. But yeah, no, I didn't know. I was just the dude making ringtones in the corner. Yeah.
That's hilarious. Someone asked in the chat earlier because I mentioned it. I worked my last day job. I worked at basically the Canadian version of Verizon, and I worked for the CEO. I was a speechwriter, low on the food chain. So no reason to be on SoundCloud and sending promos to DJs, but I didn't get fired.
But you didn't get fired. Okay.
Actually, they offered me to take a leave. So it's not getting fired though. They said you can. They're like, this music thing seems to be going pretty well, and they were the boss that was pretty supportive. And I think I just started to do some touring, and my heart wasn't in it. Like, I just the corporate thing, you know. And they're like, do you want to take some time and like, and you can come back, and like, we hope you do well, but you can come back. And then I was like, that's crazy. It was super nice.
That's really nice of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had no options. I was fired. So I said to myself, if I don't make the same amount of money, I mean, I had to go back and live with my mum. I couldn't afford my rent anymore. But I said, look, if I can't make the same amount of money in a year from music, then go back and, get a job I hate. I was making the same amount of money from that in about 2 months. Because when you become your own boss and you've got a good work ethic, fuck me, become your own boss. If you can. So yeah, don't be silly. Don't suddenly listen to this fucking podcast and me saying, give up your jobs, pursue your dreams. Don't give up your don't quit your job and pursue your dreams.
Right.
Do your dreams when they make as much and when you can pay the bills. Like, let's be honest. But I had no option. I had to make it work. But yeah, it's weird. I made an average living for like 3 or 4 years, and then for like another 3 or 4 years, I was making like $10,000 a year.
Right. When you get into
struggle, and I was very close to just not. I never give up, but just knowing, okay, look, this isn't going to be a career. So just on a Sunday, make your weird beats and like, I mean, some of the stuff I made back then, man, I need to revisit it. It's like really odd, like kind of krautrock sounding, industrial stuff. Like the thing I made for when I was submitting stuff to MF Doom was just like the weirdest soundtrack, psychedelic sounding stuff, like sampling old psychedelic Turkish records and ridiculous drum breaks and all of that. I need to revisit that shit at some point. I just don't have time.
Someone's asking, how did you get through that time? Was there anything that stopped you from packing it in?
My family. I went back and I had to live with my mum.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, and as a, how old was I? It's like a 25-year-old. Mm-hmm. That's pretty demasculating. When it's tough. It's that's why right now with quarantine and acts unable to make a living, my heart goes out to you. This isn't false empathy. This is like, I've been there. I know what it's like.
This cup is appropriate right now. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, so my one's probably as telling. Just your job doesn't define you, okay? Your job doesn't define you. Your passions define you, and the way you act defines you. Okay, your job. It's weird. It's like you got to take off the ego from stage, and then real life. You need to be able to go around the supermarket or grocery shopping and not carry that ego. But then again, ego is a fuel at times. Mm-hmm. Wanting to be really good at what you do. There's nothing wrong with that either. That's what will tend to make you successful with stuff. But you really have to attach to. But like I said, I know acts that are incredible record producers, incredible electronic artists, and they're not making the most money in the world, enough to pay the bills. It's chart success and all of that. Yeah, Grammy nominations. It's nice to get accolades, but man, it doesn't define you. Let your back catalogue define you. Let your catalogue of music over time define you. So yeah, just if you got here's the thing: if you got a passion for music, it's like don't get into DJing to be famous. Like you don't want to be famous. Like that's the one thing I never did. But I'm not a fan of social media.
Mm-hmm.
When I had 2 number 1s in the UK charts, I never got a publicist. I didn't play that game. It felt weird. It felt it didn't ring well with me, man. It was like there's something weird about it. The whole kind of press game, oh, we do this for you, you do something for us, and all, especially UK press and that journalistic world. Nah, man, it didn't sit well with me. I just want to make my music, and luckily, because of success on those records, it gave me a music career. You don't need to cultivate fame to be a successful act. You don't. Do you think Fortet is famous?
Right.
No. So, you think Bonobo is famous? Well, he kind of is, no, but, I'm not, he's not.
I wouldn't recognize, I recognize all his records, but wouldn't recognize his face if I saw him.
But they make, I mean, I'll tell you what, the interesting thing that's happened, and it's always been the way, is underground music isn't underground. It's the most famous people who present themselves as underground isn't underground. There's no difference between someone with a branded Instagram team from the most commercial dance records to the most underground records. The power of brand is unfortunately king right now. Yeah, just to end on that gloomy note. But hey, if you don't like it, just stop. Give up. But yeah, it's like the power of brand. But it's always been like that, hasn't it? It's not like this new thing that's come out, and but man, just like make great records, because if you can make great records, no one can take that away from you. No one can take that away from you.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just do what you do. Anyway, did you say you could play some records?
Yeah. Thank you for participating in our speed round. That was awesome.
Slowest speed round ever.
Yeah, let's play a couple of records before I let you go and write your own records.
Full disclaimer: I'm listening on a MacBook Pro speaker.
Let me send them to you because there will be a lag, so you don't want to listen on the stream. I'll just send them. Do you have your iMessage up? Oops.
So do you want me to respond?
We'll both because we'll play them. We'll both mute and just play them at the same time, because you won't be able to hear it if I play it because you just got my mic, right?
Okay, so I have to hit mute on this.
Yeah, and load that up, and I'll send you a couple of these. Let me see right now.
So you send them to the chat, or
No, I'm gonna open them up in the browser, but unless you're on the stream, because there's a lag, you'll just want to open them up in your own browser, and we'll just go 3, 2, 1.
Okay,
If that works.
So where are you sending them to my email, or?
Oh no, I sent it on iMessage. Do you have iMessage on the computer? I can email them instead. Okay, give me one moment.
Are they SoundCloud or?
They are SoundCloud. You know what? I can put them in this chat as well, in this Zoom chat.
Yeah, put them in this chat.
Let's do that. Let me go back and grab them. All right.
Yeah, let's check the new done.
Where's the chat? Sorry, guys. There it is. Oh, he's back. Sorry, guys. Okay, here you go.
So,
There's one.
okay.
And let me get that other one. Grab another one here real quick. Does that one load for you?
Yeah, should we listen to this one?
Yeah, let's start there.
Okay, I'm gonna mute this.
Yeah, give me 1 sec to get up my window and play it for the chat. All right, we got course 3 in here. All right, that's 3, 2, 1, go.
I'm listening now. That is good.
He's telling me to cut it there. Anyways, I guess he doesn't want to hear the whole thing. Any thoughts?
Go and listen to the Drive soundtrack. Listen to Electric Youth. Listen to Desire. I think the vibe is there, which is the most important thing.
Yep.
I think the arrangement, you need to work out whether you want to make a 3-minute record or you want to make something that ebbs and flows. That's more live orientated, center it around the hook. Maybe apply some RC20, kind of degrade some of the sounds a little bit. Get it sounding a little bit tape sounding a little bit more warmth. I couldn't hear the low end on it because I am listening through a Mac, but nothing really. Like, I've forgotten what record it was. Let me just go on Spotify. I'll tell you. Is it Under Your Spell by Desire or A Real Hero with Electric Youth? That's that cool sounding bass. Yeah, there's a lot to digest there. But yeah, the most important thing is the vibe is there. It sounds musical. It's definitely hard, 3/4 of the way there. Yes, it's like, keep on doing what you're doing. Don't give up. But anyway, that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I tend
How
to.
about you, Pat?
Whoops. Sorry. I tend to agree. Like, the vibe is great. The melodies, I think the arrangement is probably the first thing, and then the drums and like tightening up the drums. It's funny that you mentioned Electric Youth. I think I don't remember where they're from. Maybe Canadian, but I did that was one of my first remixes. I don't think it even ever came out. They were on a friend's label. It was one of the first spec remixes I ever did, like ever. So I hadn't heard that name in a really long time for them.
They're great. I think they came out of an album in the last 6 months.
Yeah. Huh.
It's good, man. It's like, I have a lot of time for like lo-fi sounding records. I have a lot of time for what they call it, retro wave. If you can conjure up an emotion and a vibe. Like, to be honest with you, like this year, most of the stuff I listen to is borderline lo-fi guitar music. I don't know, just kind of drawn to it. But there's definitely like a hybrid. There's a point where that sound meets M83 and it kind of becomes shoegaze. and that song reminded me of that type of music. So yeah, okay.
Shoegaze.
That's
The,
shoegaze.
the micro genres I struggle with sometimes.
There's so many. It's
Or
like
do you
okay, so
do you
yeah,
have do you have time for another one? I sent you dropped another one in the chat.
yeah. I'll listen to this one last one, and then
Okay.
I'll jog on. It's
You'll
get a
have to
bit cold.
bounce. All right. Yeah.
Um, okay, so I'm gonna mute and have a listen.
All right. You got Fuse. Let's go.
Keep going in circles, crashing and I'm burning tonight. Can't see where I'm going, swimming up this river inside. I feel all the tension building up inside me, and it keeps on pushing you away. Get lost in the moment, let it take me higher. And when I'm ready, we can go. Something takes over me. Can't help myself, cause I'm a slave to the rhythm. Tell myself that I don't know what it is. Can't help myself, cause I'm a slave to the rhythm. I feel it in my fingers, I feel it in my toes. Can't help myself, cause I'm a slave to the rhythm. Cause I think my body sinking into my soul. Can't help myself, cause I'm a slave to the rhythm. I'm running on empty, holding on to nothing tonight. No time for emotion, feel the ocean rising inside. I feel all the tension building up inside me, and it keeps on pushing you away. Get lost in the moment, let it take me higher. And when I'm ready, we can go. Something takes over me. Can't help myself, cause I'm a slave to the rhythm. Tell myself that I don't know what it is. Can't help myself, cause I'm a slave to the rhythm. I feel it in my fingers, I feel it in my toes. Can't help myself, cause I'm a slave to the rhythm. Cause I think my body.
All right. Fuse. Slave to the rhythm. Adam, what you got?
I like it. I mean, like first and foremost, if you're producing and singing at the same time, yeah, you know, that's great. The more you can do, the better it is. The less people you rely on. But to speak about music, yeah, I liked it. It's got groove. It's got vibe to it. The only things I would say are just very, very, very technical stuff. The technical end, and again, disclaimer: this is only my opinion, and I'm listening to through crap speakers, so don't take this with a pinch of salt. Bit of work on the drums and the low end. Sidechain the crap out of everything. Lay the drums, or don't lay the drums if they already sound good. Listen to Coach Nada. Listen to just get that kind of just work on that chorus, you know, get the chorus sounding good, and then just, you know, just everything else fall into place. Instrumentation sounds good, everything in the right place. The only other technical thing I would say is maybe look into like an MS processor or something like that, so the mono stay mono, and you can get a little bit of width to it. It's slightly some of the sounds are clashing in places,
Yeah.
so just get everything in its own space.
Yep.
And anything extra, don't worry about too much, unless it's creating an atmosphere. You know, you don't necessarily need 8 snare drums on a record, but you know, if it does give it that kind of knock and that groove to it. The knock and the groove tends to come from, you know, multi-compression on a master bus or drum bus, or you know, the knock in the groove comes from sidechain and then just work that groove, you know. K Tronada has it, Disclosure have it, you have it, you know, you understand that. Just understand that and, you know, read tutorials and watch videos about that. And it's there. But first and foremost, the most important thing, the musicality, it's there. You know, that's the hardest bit. So yeah.
Chad's really appreciating the feedback. I agree. I think that's terrific advice. I like that there's some more advanced stuff in there with the mid and side mixing. Yeah, the groove is, all the parts are there, and you know, sometimes there's maybe a little bit more happening, and so certain things could come down. And locking in the groove, I was thinking about the sidechain as well, to lock in the vocals and what's happening on the choruses, because I think that's like that next step. The next step is the first step being like, can you write the parts and like everything kind of sounds cool and it like sounds good, like a nice track. And the second part being like, what can you remove to tighten shit up to make it sound like, you know, you don't listen to, yeah, like a K Tronada record or like a pop record and go like, oh, there's too many things happening right now. There's like three, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like it's too many things happening, but that's what also shows that you really want to do, you know, to do a good job. Another good example, another good reference, Pink Sweats is fucking great.
Pink Sweats?
Yeah. It's kind of not a million miles away from what he does, but then again, it's like, you know, the whole point of it is not to emulate anybody, but you know, to use it as a benchmark. You know, not trying to copy them, or you know, you do what you do. But yeah, it's almost like, I agree. I mean, the other thing as well is more kind of infectious, hooky, simple music. When you play out live, tends to get a little bit more of a response. Not, you know, that might not be the, you know, the what you want, but even just almost simplify. Almost simplify. You know, you can get caught up in jazz chords are sometimes a bit too much, but then again, I don't know. It's like, it depends what. Hey, you know, just make it sound good. That's all that matters. You know, start worrying about sevenths and fifths. Don't. Yeah, it can get a little bit. I don't know. But man, if you produced the record and you sung it, fair play to you, man. That's, you know.
I think it's a buddy singing on that, because these guys have got another project, but they do work together for a bit. I like this record. I agree entirely with the simplifying and locking in that groove, a little bit of drum work and the bass, which the chat was on. I don't think it's that far. The bass is far. Everyone, I saw a lot of people mentioning the bass, but I didn't think it was that. It didn't stand out to me until I started listening out for it after the chat was talking about it.
It could even just be a good mix engineer and a good master. You know, there's kind of degrees to mix engineers. Some, depending on who you work with, some may do very little. Some may borderline do additional production. So there's that side, and yeah, you know what I do. I kind of felt when I started playing around with master buses, and that's when things started to gel and kind of glue for me. Mastering engineers and mix engineers will hate you for that. Okay, so to give you a little bit of inside knowledge, the acts that have the most unique sounding acts have their own master bus. True. Mostly, or true. You know, they work with Daddy Kev or someone on the or do the mastering. You know, don't be afraid to play around with that side as well. Don't have any fear of doing that. And just because that's what will help give your sonic fingerprint a little bit as well.
Do you have your specific master bus, or do you hand it over and walk away?
I do, and I don't. Depends on the record. I make records way too hot. And I probably shouldn't. But like, to be honest with you, with streaming now, it goes against you making records too hot, because it just turns it right down. It actually has the opposite effect. If you make a record too hot, and by hot I mean like the volumes and just compressing it too much, it goes against you. That it gets turned down. So you got to know where you want your music to be heard. Like YouTube, for example, has no limitation really. Spotify will turn things down unless you turn off the setting, and they will apply their own. Like when you have your music played on BBC Radio 1, it always sounds good because God knows what signal paths they got going. But everything that comes out on that radio station is like, it always sounds better. Like, yeah, study that, spend a week just like researching that, and that really helps with the kind of knock and the groove to music. Yeah. Or don't. That's up to you.
No, it's terrific advice. And it's important. We talk about creating, and you're talking a lot about writing new ideas, but getting better at the craft, and is essential advice. Adam Dumont, thank you so much for spending your New Year's Day with us in the chat. Is very grateful. It's been a lot of insightful points to think about.
Thanks for inviting me. Yeah, but you take care. I'll see you soon. When quarantine lifts, then I'll see you in person. Like, come around to the house.
Sounds good. I'll send you some new records in the meantime.
Yeah, send me the stuff. I'm not sure you sent me the thing for the magic tapes. I can't remember what you did or you didn't. Send me stuff, man. Just keep me posted what you're doing, and vice versa. Do you remember that demo we made where you thought, what's his name? He's on the same. We both signed a Virgin. You sent me a text and said, "Oh, have you heard the latest so right?"
Yeah. Are you talking about S.G. Lewis?
Yeah. S.G. Lewis. And he's like, mate, did S.G. Lewis rip off our demo? I was like, no. Trust me, I don't play demos to no one. But that his song did sound very similar. But then again, we did rip off someone else. So it's like,
the chat's is going to kill me for this one right now. They don't know that side of it.
No, but we're not going to say what song it is. But he didn't rip us off. It's just the consciousness. He tapped into the same consciousness.
Well, we all love the greats.
S.G. Lewis is great, man. Like,
he is.
Man, he's like, I mean, you can, like, anyone can learn a lot from like his work ethic, and just like, S.G. Lewis has been around for a long time, just doing what he does. More disco sound and stuff. It hasn't been as popular 2 years ago as it was now, and he's doing his own thing, and then he's great at what he does. He makes great records, but that demo does sound identical to that S.G. Lewis track. But yeah, no one's ever gonna hear it. We can't release it now because it's too similar. Might take it down a few semitones and maybe get away with it.
Yeah. Change a couple things.
Okay.
This has been great. Yeah, I'll do the rest of the demos after water break, guys. But thanks again, Adam. Everyone, go listen to Duality if you haven't yet. Everywhere, and if you're in LA at the Shrine or wherever you're going next when that happens.